like Lost Ark? Yeah, so I put about 300 hours into Lost Ark. And I have one character who's like barely in tier 3. I'm like 1325, I think. And I had to stop playing the game for a little bit at the end of tier 2 because I was sitting at 1090 because I think 1100 is the end of tier 2. I was sitting at 1090 for days, and I was watching an Asmongold video where he was talking about it, and I guarantee most players drop out in tier 2. And I was like, I could 100% see that, because in tier 2, like, if you only have one character in tier 2, which I only have one character in tier 2, my bard is at 600. She just has to get through Rohendel to get into tier 2. But if you only have one character in tier 2, the grind for mats just in tier 2 is like painful. You run all your daily stuff, you do your everything daily, and the thing that's like choking you are the oh god, I can't, the like life stones or whatever, those, the leap stones. And it's like, how do you even go get them? Like, you can't reliably farm them, like, and I'm not going to put any money into the game. So I was stuck at like 1090 for like multiple days, and I just could not handle. I had to take a couple days off until I think I took like 3 days off until the weekly. And at the weekly, then I went and bought all my like weekly currency buys, like with my pirate coins, with my event tokens, with my other event tokens, like all those weekly things. I bought them and finally got to tier 3. But like and then, yeah, so I have 6 characters. I have 4 in tier, well, I have 3 in tier 1, one that I'm leveling when I feel like it, 1 in tier 3, and 1 technically, yeah, I can't do math. I have 1 in tier 3, and the other 5 are basically tier 1. One of them could be tier 2 if I put in like 2 hours to get through Rohendel, but I'm not doing that. And then one of them's like level 35. I'm not going to drop 600 gold to get them to 50. But I just got like so burnt out on running all my dailies and stuff on my main, on my sorceress, and then failing all my upgrades, because you only get like 3 chances a day if you're not buying stuff with real money, and then failing them, and then you just have to wait a whole nother day, or else you have to drop money. And I was not going to drop money. And then I got so tired of, for tier 1 mats, just running the same stuff on 4 characters. I was like, this is boring to me. I like the dailies. I love the island system. I love the atmosphere of the game. I think it's so fun. Every island is like a totally different place. It's super fun driving your ship around. The story is pretty interesting. I want to see where it goes, but I just like, I'm not gonna put any money into it, and I got like pretty burnt out doing dailies and like daily quests and daily like things on all my alts. So I just like, I've stepped away for a couple days. I'm a little bit bummed because I hit tier 3, but also I got to the 8-man abyssal raids, and that was like hell on earth for me, because it's like coordination required in, I don't want to call it savage level in relation to like Final Fantasy, but it requires a lot of coordination, and nobody talks in Lost Ark, and you don't have waymarks. So like the second abyssal dungeon, they want you to like, oh, they doubled up on that attack. They want you to like, I'm just gonna die there. The second 8-man abyssal dungeon, the first boss of it, you have to like break the stagger. You don't even break the stagger, there's another term for it. You have to like damage the shields around these mobs, and people can't do it. You bring like your grenades and stuff to do it, but you still have people who don't read, because the pop-ups for how to do it are so brief. It's like boop and then it's gone, and you're in the middle of a fucking battle, so it's like, how are you supposed to read these pop-ups when you're trying to like not get hit by a zillion AoEs? I hate that. Like, the dungeons and raids in Lost Ark feel like WoW dungeons and raids to me, and that's not good to me. I don't like WoW dungeons and raids, because you get very little guidance, and the people you run with expect you to already know what to do. They're not going to help you, and if you mess up, they just disband. Like, that's my experience in Lost Ark and in WoW dungeons. Um, and so like the raids are generally okay, but then you hit the 8-man raids. Okay, no worries. But the 8-man raids, like the final boss of the second 8-man raid, you have to spread out in a clock formation, and you have to eat an orb and then rotate clockwise is what the guides I saw were saying what to do. But it's like, how am I gonna coordinate that with like all these other goobs? Nobody wants to talk to each other. Like, there's no waymark system to designate like where you are going. You didn't expect me to go so in depth. Oh yeah, sorry. I have really in-depth feelings about a lot of all. So I am an MMO player to the core because I tend to be a mono gamer, and if I'm gonna put all my time into one game, it's gonna be an MMO because of the way that you can like put your time in and it actually means something. So I have very strong opinions, and I try most MMOs. Not so much lately, just because Final Fantasy has been dominating my life since like 2015, but I also play Black Desert, but I uninstalled it recently to try to stave off that addiction. It's not working. I really want to re-download it. That's my main problem with the Lost Ark dungeons. And most of the dungeons are fine, but once you start getting into like abyssal dungeons, that's where it gets to be difficult because they do require a level of coordination that requires you to call things out. Whereas like a lot of like Final Fantasy normal raids and stuff, you don't have to call out certain things. It just is fine. But with Lost Ark, you do have to call things out, and people don't want to. I had one run of an abyssal dungeon, and you have to call a quadrant for it. There's only 4 people in it at this point. You have to call a quadrant. We had one person in the group who refused to call a quadrant and would like respond to us. Yeah, my problem with Lost Ark endgame content is that doing it blind means that you might wipe your entire party. And so once I realized that with like a couple things, I was like, I have to look it up. I can't go into it blind because we're just gonna wipe. And I don't like that either. I don't like that the content has so many just group wipes if one person isn't doing something correctly. Like, that's why I didn't keep running the 8-man abyssals. I only ran the first one and tried to run the second one, and after like multiple failed runs and like party wipes, I left because the other thing I don't like about Lost Ark is that you have to use consumables. And if you're in a party that isn't doing well and isn't listening, you're wasting your consumables because consumables can only be crafted in your stronghold and they're on a time limit. Like, they are time locked unless you want to speed them up with other materials. And so like if you're having to use your stagger bombs but your party is bad and can't clear it, you're wasting your bombs, and that's how it feels, and it feels bad. I like Lost Ark overall. I enjoy spending time in it, but I do not like the endgame raids. And that's kind of annoying to me. Like, I'm a big completionist gamer, so I still have a lot of content to do in Lost Ark because I want to complete all of the adventure logs. There's so many like achievements to go through and do. There's so many like side stories and quests and island quests and things like that. But I just do not see myself as an endgame raider. I wanted to get to tier 3 mostly because then I can go to tier 3 islands. But yeah, I have like I've thought about doing a video on my thoughts on Lost Ark because I talk about it a lot. Me and Setsuna talk about it a lot because I put like 300 hours into the game and I'm barely tier 3. Oh yeah, you would wait it out. Yeah. I mean, I've heard based on other like people's experience with the game that once they like release a certain tier that it gets a lot easier at a lower level. But at the same time, once you get a character to tier 2, like once you hit like a certain gear score, you can get the thing to make it easier. But yeah, I don't know, easier to enhance through tier 1, but I don't know. I just got really tired of it. Yeah, I hate being negative about games as well. That's why I keep saying like the things that I liked. But I am interested to see where it goes. I don't want the game to die because I do think it has a lot of potential. I think it's really fun, especially in the early levels. Like Lucian just got to Vern and he's having like a blast with it. And I definitely had a lot of fun with the game. I did struggle through Arthurtine because I was level 50 for like the entirety of it, and I was like, I just want to get to Vern so I can start doing the endgame stuff. But I think the game has a lot of potential and a lot of like promise, and I think it can be a really fun time. I just think for me, it's not a good end game. And I knew that going into it. Like, I kind of knew. I kept saying, like, I would be streaming it or talking to people about it. And I'm like, I'm just here for a good time. I'm not here for a long time. And that's kind of how I really feel about Lost Ark. I think it's really fun. I think it does have a lot of potential. I do enjoy continuing to play it. I like the dailies. I like the daily quests are super fun. Like it's like a billion different reputations for you to level. And as a completionist gamer, like it's overwhelming, but I'm also in love. But I struggle with ARPG combat systems because I'm terrible at moving my character. But I do think it's really fun. I like it. I am looking forward to when they like release other classes. I just don't think it'll be a game that I play like really hardcore. And I also like I think I haven't put any money into it. I was gifted one of the outfits for my sorceress, but I just cannot see myself putting any money into it. I think BDO super turned me off of putting money into games, and like I'm kind of glad Lost Ark is on the scene because everybody kept saying BDO was a pay to win game, but I think that Lost Ark kind of really shows what an actual pay to win game is, and it's not BDO because BDO is like pay to maybe win. You could dump like 10 grand into BDO and never get pen gear, like full pen. You could be stuck forever at a tet or even a try if you have the worst luck. But like in Lost Ark, you can put money in and get gear upgrades. Like you will eventually like get there. But I don't know. I don't think people are talking about BDO very much right now.